A question I get asked a lot is kind of something that is rarely asked directly, but kind of inferred a lot of times. We're in the internet age. Industries are being disrupted all the time. Do I even need a real estate agent? Welcome, homeowners, future homeowners, investors, and future investors. And if you're not part of one of those groups, it's okay, but we have to talk. My name is Brian Travis. I am your Houston, Texas real estate agent, and this is Getting Home. I am very excited. This is my first video with actual content. So before we get into the topic, I actually want to kind of cover why I decided to start this channel. And one of the reasons is this question that we're about to cover. And people have questions, right? And people need someone that they can go and talk to if it's concerning real estate. Honestly, I did a search on YouTube for Houston, Texas real estate agent. There's like two, and one of them is this guy. Seriously, go check out that guy. It's not gonna be funny. It's going to be funny because it's not funny. He hasn't posted in like 7 years, but either way, I would definitely go and see what's happening there. So anyway, that's kind of my mission here, is to provide a forum somewhere people can ask questions, have comments, have a discussion, have a Discord even, if necessary, and get your real estate questions and needs met. So let's get into the topic. And after doing some extensive research on what other content was out there, and also what kind of metrics I could find regarding what we're talking about. So we're gonna do it from a category standpoint, and that's if you're going to lease, buy, or sell. Kind of throw landlords in there along with sell. So I don't wanna roll out a list of the fiduciary duties that an agent performs so that you will have a successful transaction, no. And I didn't want to be too pedantic. I also didn't want to break down a 1 in 4 contract and help you understand how actually complicated it is. I wanted to keep it anecdotal. So that's what we're gonna do. Okay, so first up, leases. Story time. So my first lease client was a young lady that had been trying to move for a long time, and she kept getting denied. On top of that, she was living in a tiny home with 3 adults and 1 child, and it just wasn't enough space. And the landlord was not performing the tasks that they should have been performing. So the house was in need of repairs. The floor, certain appliances weren't working correctly that were supposedly covered under the lease. So she really wanted to move because she didn't want to do court stuff. And even living in that tiny home, she was still aiming for similar properties and was going to end up maybe in a similar situation. So what I did is I introduced her to something you haven't heard of, and it's called a master plan lease community. And so there are companies, no free advertising, there are companies that build entire neighborhoods just to lease out the single family homes. And so we actually went to them. And so because they have a lot more inventory, a lot more control, we were able to get over some of the hurdles that were preventing her from an individual landlord being able to accept her as a client, because they're looking for a little bit lower risk and still get her into a property. Now, here were the benefits of that. It's new construction, landscaping is included, and it was 3 times the size of her current place and had a bedroom for every single person in her family. So guys, there is never a reason not to use a real estate agent if you're leasing. If you're leasing, there is never a reason not to do it. First of all, who pays a real estate agent in general when they're representing you as a lease tenant is the landlord, not you. So you should definitely have someone who is going to have several advantages, like inside knowledge, things like understanding. There's things like master plan communities, who've seen situations like yours before and maybe even knows certain areas or landlords that will be able to help you get into a home. Now, I'm not saying that if everything is jacked up. You don't have income. You don't have, you have a record. You have a bunch of things that are working against you that it's 100% guaranteed, but you definitely have a better chance with somebody who has some industry knowledge, and it's not going to cost you anything extra. And finally, on that note, better speed of business. And better speed of business means that they have tools, they have knowledge, they have connections, and they have time. Because do you have a job? Do you have to go to work? You may not even have the energy to come home and then do the whole new chore of finding your next home. So let someone else do it. So on to buyers. Did you like that? Yeah, it's pretty cool, huh? Yeah, all I did was make a video and then download this app called Editing Videos is Very Hard. Please like and subscribe. So for buyers, the answer is sometimes. The answer is almost never no for most people. Story time. I have a family member who is a real estate investor, and he does it all. He buys homes without an agent. He fixes homes without a contractor, and then he sells homes, usually with an agent in that case. But for the most part, he is getting it done from the buyer side on his own. And this is an example of somebody who could potentially go without an agent. You know, someone who's seasoned, has time on hand, because it is literally all he does. So if you don't have that much time, it might not be the right choice for you. And he understands the buying process on a near professional level. And he still has a lawyer when he does these transactions. But for the average person, what does it really save you? And I think the feedback I have often gotten is, hey, well, I can negotiate a better price if I come to them without an agent. And what that shows is that most people don't understand how a listing agreement works. Before you even saw that house, if it's being listed by an agent, the ink was dry on the listing agreement. So they have agreed not only to the commission for the agent that's listing their home, but they've also already agreed to the commission for the agent that's purchasing the home. So what do you really gain? Not much. You lose all the benefits I've already talked about for leases. On top of that, you're going to have to do a lot more footwork, because more than likely there's some tools that you're not going to have, that you're going to have to basically do things yourself. Whatever commission was going to go to that buyer's agent is now going to go solely to the seller's agent. So that seller isn't going to want to change the price. And that means that now you just gave up something for nothing. On top of that, remember, you are still dealing with another agent. And they think, well, this agent can handle the transaction for the most part. And they can. But remember this. You are a customer and the sellers are their client. And what that basically means is they have a higher level of duty to their client, all right? So they can't be untruthful with you, but they are not gonna advise you. You know what their advice will pretty much sound like? Would you like to write an offer for the asking price? And the reason they can't give you advice is not because they're just mean, because the customer, they don't want to accidentally do something. In Texas, we call it implied agency. And what that means, if they give you advice, or if they start giving you advice, then later on, if you're feeling a type of way, you can pretty much take them to court and sue them, because you can say, oh, well, he implied or she implied agency by telling me or giving me advice. Not going out like that. So from your standpoint, all they're gonna do is process the offer. That's it. So make sure you get an agent, unless you're in a very, very small subgroup, and in which case, even then, there's still benefit for you. Again, as a buyer, your agent is likely gonna be paid by the other party. So what do you have to lose?